Today we'll take up verbs in German language. Now, I just explained or I just mentioned here that there is a striking difference between English and German language. I'll tell you how. If I were to say you are running, I am running, we are running. So we see the verb which is running is always the same, irrespective of whether I'm talking about myself, I'm talking about somebody else, or I'm talking about a group of people. And of course, I mean, English has no difference between formal and informal. So obviously, here also, whether a grandfather is running or a small child is running, it is just the same. It's always running there, right? However, in German, this does not work. I'll I'll now explain a little bit about the initially we have worked upon pronouns, and that was like ish, do, uh, er, sie. Sorry, just a moment. Er, yeah, er, sie, es, yeah, wir, then ihr, then sie. So what happens? The verb that we'll be using, for example, for running, it could be, let's say, rennen, R-E-N-N-E-N, is to run. So if we were to use the verb in German language, for every pronoun, it keeps on changing. Like if it were English, then I would have written running, 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 running everywhere, right? But if it comes into German, then the form of the main root will remain the same, but the ending will differ. Yeah. So if I were to say ish, then it will be ish renne. I'll just check out in Google what is the now. Now, what I mean to say, the ending will keep on changing, and this process is known as conjugation. Conjugation. So I'll just see what is the conjugation of rennen in German. Conjurian. So you see, ich renne, du rennst, sie es rennt. I'll just write down here. Ich renne, du rennst, sie es rennt. R-Z-S R-E-N-N-T. Rent. Wir rennen. Ihr rennt. Sie rennen. So you might have observed in previous classes also, whenever I say that, ich esse den Apfel zum Beispiel. So I say I eat the apple, then I'll say ich esse. This is because the main verb is actually essen, right? This is the format which is known as infinitive format. Because in dictionary, if you were to find this verb, if you search for esse, it may or may not be there in dictionary. Because the verb that will be present in dictionary will not be esse, but it will be essen. Likewise, if you search for any verb like renne or rennst, if you search in dictionary, you won't find them. But what you will find is the infinitive form, which normally comes at wir, right? So this is the main form which is normally available on the dictionary, known as infinitive form, and these are the variants which are known as conjugation or conjugation. Any doubt, friends, right till now? Chetan, Kishore, Karthik?
No, sir. No, sir, it's clear.
Great. In case if you got any doubt, you can break me anytime.
But Sid, I have a doubt. For the wear and for the Z, it is same, right? Always.
Yes. This is going to create a small problem, but with the context of the language of the sentence, you can actually figure it out. So with practice, you'll see that it's not that hard to understand, but certainly it brings in a small level of confusion sometimes.
Okay, but always we can say infinitive form will be available with wear.
Always, absolutely. This is the infinitive form which is there in the dictionary as well. So let's say if I take a few more examples, mm, I live in Germany. And if I say you live in Germany, now in English it will be only live. Or even if I say they live in Germany or you all live in Germany, whatever you, it's always live. But if I were to translate in German language, then first of all you have to find the verb of live, which is wohnen. By the way, this is the verb, and sometimes it so happens that it is quite similar with the noun, which is Wohnung. This is the home, right, or house, right? So, anyways, we'll concentrate only upon the verbs right now. So, if I were to say I live in Germany or you live in Germany, first of all, you need to find out the conjugation of wohnen. So, it will be ich wohne, du wohnst, sie es wohnt. Wir wohnen. I'll do one thing. I'll write this wir in the next column, so it is a little easier. Wir wohnen. Um, Now, sometimes I also get confused, so I need to check upon this. Wohnen conjugation. See, ich wohne, du wohnst, sie es wohnt, wir wohnen, ihr wohnt, sie wohnen. Okay, ihr wohnt, sie wohnen. Sie or capital Z, wohnen. Now here most of the time you will see that ear and RGS is the same. It is quite common, right? And wear and ZZ is also quite common. It's same. So you end up only learning maybe 3 or 4 terms. For ish, you need to learn wohne, du wohnst, RGS won't. The moment you learn won't, you consider that you have also learned the format for ear. Ear, just to remind, ear is you all informal, right? Suppose this is me and I'm talking to a group of people who are all my friends. So I'll say ear, IHR. I will talk to them saying ear. And wear is the infinitive form, which is the virgin form of any verb. So it's wohnen. And ZZ is the same as wear, right? So coming back to the example, I live in Germany. So it will be, can somebody tell me what verb will be using here in this form?
Ohne.
Yes, right. So ich wohne in Deutschland. Dr. Kishore, will you try this sentence? You live in Germany.
Ich wohne in Germany.
Please repeat.
Ich wohne in Germany.
No, no, I'm asking about you live in Germany. That is, somebody's telling that you live in Germany.
Yeah. Okay. Du wohne in Germany.
Yes. However, for do,
Dutchland. Okay.
no.
Uh-huh.
The problem is for the verb, do wonen will not be correct because with do should come wonst.
Do one wants to.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
wonst. Yeah,
Issue one. Yeah.
do wonst. I mean, the main
Wants to.
focus of this class is that if you use do, you should use the verb which is corresponding to do,
Wants.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
suppose,
Yeah.
Karthik, will you try? If I say, we live in Germany, so what will be the format in German? See, Karthik, for we is
We are.
wir, right?
Yeah. We are one.
Yes, wir wohnen in Deutschland,
German. Dutchland.
right? And if I say, um, let's say there is a colleague or she colleague, colleaguin, Kollegien. That is, she lives in Germany. If I were to say she lives in Germany. So here, for she lives in Germany, this is the Z, right?
Yes.
Yes. And the answer will be then sie wohnt in Germany, in Deutschland. So the main focus that I want to narrate here is for every form of pronoun, you have to use the corresponding form of verb, right? In English, we use live everywhere. He lives in Germany, I live in Germany, you all lives in Germany. But here in German language, the verb format will change all the times. Now, in start, it might look a little overwhelming because there could be more than 100 verbs that you are supposed to learn. But believe me, friends, more than 80% of verbs will follow the same grammar or same endings. I'll take a few more examples. Let's say gehen, that is to go. So it will be ich gehe, du gehst, er sie es geht, wir gehen, ihr geht, sie gehen. Right? So there's not much to learn about. I mean, if you learn these endings, like it comes with ish, gehe. So in the first person pronoun singular, it will be only e. Then it will be st. Now, don't remember e, st, t, n, t. This is absolutely confusing. You will never be able to learn them like this. Instead, whenever you learn a verb, just learn their conjugation as well. Now, the most important of the verbs that you will be using is machen. Now, I'm putting it in bold characters because this is the most important verb that you will be using most of the times. So it is like ich mache, du magst, sie es macht, wir machen, ihr macht, sie machen. Now, if you think about use of this verb, this can be used for any purpose, literally any purpose. I am, let's say, I am baking a cake. Now, baking, you may not be remembering the verb for this baking, yeah. Or if I am, let's say, cooking or any other verb which is related to doing something, you can straight away say ich mache cake or kuchen or whatever. Ich mache Tee zum Beispiel, right? So if you forget, the corresponding, let's say baking is a different procedure, roasting is a different procedure, grilling is a different procedure. All of them can be used, and Maken can be used for every of these processes. So Maken is most important. There are, I think, more than 50, 60 different uses in German language. Uh, Invariably for everything. I am, I have finished the bread, let's say. I have finished the pizza. So instead of using finished, corresponding actual verb for finished, you can straight away say, Ich habe den Pizza fertig gemacht. Fertig is, fertig is to finish, is finish actually. This is not a verb, by the way. Fertig gemacht. No, what is this? Gemacht is a kind of a past version of preteritum version, but we are not going to talk about this. What I mean to say is this machen can be used for multiple reasons. So just remember this: Ich mache, du machst, es just macht, wir machen, ihr macht, sie machen. Right? This is going to is kind of a lifesaver in most of the cases. Okay, so let's proceed ahead. To search is equal to suchen, right? So can you guess what should be for ich suche? Yeah,
Ich suche.
genau, richtig. Ich suche, du
Sucht. Suchst.
suchst. Correct, correct. Ich suche, du suchst, er, sie, es.
Sucht.
Correct. S-U-C-H-T.
Wir suchen.
Wir suchen. Yeah. Remember this. This is the infinitive form, and this is always for wir. Wir suchen, and ihr is most of the cases is sucht. This is RCS is the same as ihr. Und dann kommt sie, that's also suchen. Right? Now, most likely, friends, you might have noticed one thing. Whenever I'm using this verb things, the first character is always small character, lowercase. Yeah. So this is because this is not a noun. Only in case of noun, we use the first character as uppercase. So if you see, everywhere I've used only small characters, lowercase, right? So make sure that in a sentence you don't use in a uppercase. Ich wohne in Deutschland, for example. So I will not write it as Ich wohne in Deutschland. This is going to be wrong. You have to only mention the small version, that is the lowercase. Right? A few more examples I'll say could be, let's say, trinken. It is to drink. Or essen is equal to eat. Now, don't get confused. Essen is also a place in Germany. Is a city in Germany. Sometimes people get confused here. Now, one very important thing is Essen is when human eats. Let's say if I'm eating my breakfast, then I'll say ich esse. However, I'm a little poor in drawing. Let's see if it comes like any kind of a buffalo or something. If a buffalo is eating, then it will be fressen. Okay. So be very, very careful. I mean, it's most important that you don't confuse between fressen and essen. And fressen is only for animals, when animals eat, right? And even by mistake, if you make a mistake and you say that my colleague is eating and you use the fressen, your colleague will be your enemy for probably also in your next birth, right? They will never forget it. So make sure you never use fressen when somebody is eating. It's only for animals, right? Essen is the one which we use for regular eating, that I eat, you eat, we all eat, right? And by the way, these both are the same when it comes to verb endings. Ich esse, du isst, er sie es. Ah, yeah, one moment. Essen. I'll check out. Yeah, here you see ich esse, du isst. I'll just write down here. It's a little different. I'm talking about ESSEN. Ich esse. Now do it. Normally we will think it will be ESST, but it does not work like this. It becomes east, or it can be I and this east. Okay. R Z S. What's this then? You see here, it's the same. IST. Right. So sometimes there are certain, kind of exceptional cases wherein, because this is a language now, so you cannot think that every time logic will be used. So there can be exceptional cases. Wir sen ihr ist sie essen. Right? So it is practically impossible to learn all the formats of every verb. But you know what? When you start using this German language and you face more and more verbs throughout your journey, it's always advisable to just Google them and check for their conjugation, SN conjugation, right? And then you'll find out that, yeah, I mean, this is a regular verb and it follows the same principle, or things will be much easier then. So it's always better to Google it once and find the right conjugation of every verb, whichever verb you find out. Going ahead with trinken. So that is ich trinke, du trinkst, sie, es trinkt. Wir trinken, ihr trinkt, sie trinken. Right? Now, trust me, friends, I have never used this trinken verb throughout my life. At least in the last 2 years, I am sure that I have never used. But still, I am able to conjugate them just because these are all regular verbs and they follow the same principle all the times, right? So either you learn each and every conjugation of each and every verb, or you just learn a few of them, and you can be quite sure that you can conjugate any other verb. Now, here I would like to emphasize upon one thing. Whichever verb that I have used today, they are all following the same principles, right, of conjugation. So these verbs are known as weak verbs. Now, till date, I have never understood why they are known as weak verbs. Just because they are following the rule, they are weak. I don't understand this logic. But they are known as weak verbs, or in German, it can be called as schwach. SCHWA. CK. I apologize for spelling mistakes. It's something like this only. Schwach Verben. Right? Or you can also call them regular verbs. Okay, so that means whichever verbs are weak verbs or regular verbs, or in German schwach Verben, or regular verbs is known as in German as regelmäßig Verben. So weak verbs or regular verbs, which is also known as Schwachverben or Regelmäßig Verben, these are the group of verbs which follow the principle, the same principle, without any exception. I mean, there could be some small exception, like here we found one in SN, but still the ending is quite same, right? So if you learn these endings, you pick up any example from today's lecture and just learn the endings. I'm sure that more than 60% of your verbs will be conjugated in the same way, right? So make sure. Otherwise, you can do one thing. You can just Google list of weak verbs. So Google will give you 10,000 verbs in a search page, and those verbs you can be sure that they all will be following the same principle. Ich trinke, du trinkst, es ist trink, wir trinken, ihr trinkt, sie trinken. That is, the verb ending will be the same all the times. Now, this is all about weak verbs, and in today's lecture, I don't want to jump upon the strong verbs or irregular verbs, but today I just want to tell you, I'll give a list of weak verbs, weak German verbs. If you see, so there will be so many verbs that you will find out, and you need not be afraid of anything, because if this is a weak verb and it comes in a list of weak verbs, then it is going to follow the same logic. Now, all you need to do is, whenever you find a verb, please find the conjugation right away just to revise it, and keep an eye on the verb meanings as well. Like I use this verb to cook, so it's kochen. To play is spielen. To read is lesen, sehen, essen, gehen, springen, bringen. There are so many verbs like this. So with use and as in, slowly and steadily when you proceed in your German career, you will find these verbs, and it's not going to be a very tough task. One tip from my side, friends, if you are, very serious about learning German, you start thinking also in German language. And when you are thinking in German language, you will be stuck up many times. I mean, just ignore the grammatical mistakes you will be making. But these things like verbs, if you find something like somebody is dancing, so if you just think that he's dancing, and what about dancing in German, then you immediately Google and find out the verb of dancing, which is, by the way, tanzen, right? So this way you can build up your vocabulary for verbs, and in most likely cases they will all be regular verbs following the same principle of conjugation ending. So it should not be a big job. I mean, I never faced any big problem in learning these conjugation endings, although it seems like very tedious, but because it follows the same rule, that's why it's not a big job. So this was all about weak verbs. In my next session, that is going to be tomorrow at 10 a.m., we will be talking about strong verbs. Now, again, I don't understand the logic behind strong and weak. Strong verbs are the verbs which do not follow the rule, do not follow ending rules, right? So there are certain verbs, they are not many, but they are quite a few, and you then need to learn them by heart. I mean, there is no way out. You cannot, ignore them. So this is going to be the topic of tomorrow, not for today. Right? Any questions, friends? Any doubts?
No.
No?
No, sir, that's clear.
Great. Karthik, any doubt?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. So, should we close now, friends? Today, anyway, is odd hour, so let's keep it
Yeah.
short. Yeah,
Sure.
Sure.
Thank you,
great.
Siddharth.
So, we'll
Tomorrow I may not attend. Uh-huh.
pardon?
Yeah, yeah, tell.
Yeah, tomorrow we will take up this strong verbs case, and I strongly recommend that you revise this today's session, maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, whenever you feel like, and compare it with
Okay.
strong verbs also, because these are two contrasting things, which are always like a pain, you know. So better to clear it at the starting only, then it will be very comfortable for you in future, right?
Yes.
Great. Okay,
Okay.
friends. So
Thank you,
see you
Siddharth.
tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Yeah,
Bye
Sid,
bye.
but Sid, I have a
Yes, sir.
question.
Okay,
Yeah,
sir.
please.
Because, like in our last session, we were discussing about personal pronouns.
Yes.
We talk about accusative and nominative, but we haven't continued for dative and genitives.
Yes. Actually, uh, in last session only we only talked about these verbs, and this the accusative dative is something like, it will be it will be haunting us throughout our journey. So I just wanted to give a
Yeah.
small break. Otherwise, it is too boring. I'll be, it will be overwhelming for everybody then, right?
Yeah, yeah. Because like the dative was missing. If you know the dative, then it will be easy. Like we know the subject, then like we know the object also now. Yeah, we
Yes.
are at verb.
Yes, we will take up. Actually, there are still a lot of things to be learned in accusative as well, even in nominative as well, because we did not
Yeah.
take up nominative prepositions, nominative, accusative verbs. There are so many things left over. So step by step, we'll take it. I mean, let's not be too much overwhelmed with all this grammar.
Yeah, sure. Because that's most important. That will stop us while forming
Yes,
sentences.
yes, yes. That's why I'll be teaching alone then. There will be no student in my class then. All
Yeah.
right. See you tomorrow then.
Yes. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye bye.